Load up. Hey guys, sorry about that. It took a little while to load up. Something's going on with Facebook, so I did a Facebook Live, and we're going to see what happens with that. It's not loading up in Facebook Live, so if we don't, we'll just have to figure that out. Um, we will figure out what's going on. I will get this all figured out real quick. And if you're just now knowing that, yeah, you can hear my mechanical keyboard. Don't you love those things?
Tickety tick 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 tick. I
It's
just
just,
find
I
it
love my
interesting
mechanical
that my
keyboard.
husband can make that sound on his flat little keyboard just because of how hard he presses the keys.
Yeah. Well, we are live right now. If you notice that John is not on, if you're just coming back to us, he got out a little late from a movie. He may or may not be on today. We can do whatever. We don't care about that. So we asked Jackie, and if he does come on, we'll just make it a 4-person podcast tonight, which John will not be able to do his singing tonight. So you're just going to have to give him crap for that. Congratulations and everything to everybody being here. It's been a really weird week for the podcast. We have some exciting news that we're hopefully going to be able to talk about next week. That everything's going. John is definitely in the chat. He's trying to get his computer up and going now too. So we'll see.
We
John,
have exciting news.
we will have some exciting news hopefully by the end of this week. We're keeping a couple of things hush hush. Because we are branding something that will be very usable. And I think people will really like the 3 things that we're branding that are going to be really cool for War Machine and Hordes. And we will definitely give some of it away eventually. John, you cannot get away. He is actually in the Twitch channel, guys. He's not going to get away from this. Next week, he will do his singing if he decides to jump on the podcast. He's got a free thing, but we will not force him to because he was running late from stuff. So, like I says, there's Jackie. If you've watched the RPG section, it's the same lady, and she's also the person that's in one of my. She's in my Dawn of Harbinger game that we're streaming live and everything. So, wave hi to everybody. Say hi, Jackie.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
So he will definitely. She's going to be on here, and if John comes on, we'll just crunch everybody together. Kath, if you could do me a favor and watch Facebook live chat, make sure if you're on Facebook watching this, there is a problem with Facebook live chat. We cannot see it on our stream, so just let us know. And Kathy's going to try to pay attention to that. Other than that, we are episode 26, I think, isn't it? Yep. And so we're going to talk about board games today. It's something that's coming up because there's a lot of that coming out now. And we have a lot of things coming. So we're going to talk about board games. But you're going to have to definitely tune in all the time. What do you mean? John cannot sing this week. We're not going to, he had some issues come up. If he jumps on, he jumps on. If not, we can definitely do it. He did not die from suffering watching bad movies. But the Emoji Movie is on Netflix now, so we're gonna have to torture him and try to get him to do that one. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. See how much he can suffer. Other than that, Kathy, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking Bombay Sapphire and tonic water today.
Oh,
Boosting it
Jackie,
up.
were you able to grab anything?
Yeah, actually, I had a very long work day, and I stopped and had a unlabeled brand coffee. I don't know if McCrunkles will let you put their logo on your show.
That's funny. I will definitely be having another vanilla porter. I bought some more of that.
Ooh, yummy.
Yeah, it's super, super good. And I will be drinking some Sortilege. Because, and without that, I did get a waffle finally. I finally have a waffle, so I will definitely be dipping the waffle in. And we will try that out.
The way it was meant to be
the way it was meant to be consumed. So other than that, let's go ahead and give a toast to everybody. I'm glad everybody's safe. I'm glad you enjoyed or you're here again. I'm glad everybody is alive. Cheers.
Indeed.
Cheers.
That's really good. Oh, I forgot to say, we're giving away something tonight.
We
I didn't.
are.
I didn't even tell y'all this, but we're going to give away something tonight. I said I was going to do it, and so if you are listening and logged online, John, you're not eligible, you slacker. I will be giving away a miniature that I painted. It'll be my heretic that I painted in my paint scheme that Kathy helped me do some OSL on, and I will give that away. I should be able to finish it this week, and we'll give that away so someone can get that. Um, what was it? Who wrote that? Congo. No, Xander. If you want to donate $20 to More Than Dice, you get to make me sing next month. But you have to do that before the end of the month because if you don't donate on our Patreon and put it in the 20 thing, you will bypass my month. Excuse me, and make Kathy sing the next month.
Only if someone then donates to the Patreon that month at the $20 level.
So right now we have no one donating, and you can just donate $20. You don't have to do it. I know we do 4 podcasts and we charge by the podcast, but you can set it up so you only do one. So if nobody donates by the end of this month, I don't have to sing this month. I can get away with it.
You think you can get away with it?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna sucker. So other than that, also I'm gonna be painting my Grimkin for my personal army tonight. While we talk about board games, but before that, let's go ahead and do this. This is an Eggo waffle. Let's break it apart. All right, Kathy.
Lego my ego.
Here's my sortilege. Here's my Eggo.
I feel like there should be
Music?
playing in the background, and it should be 2001. You know, A Space Odyssey.
Here we go. Another one.
Dun 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 dun.
Let's soak it in there. Let's make sure we get all the air out of it. War Machine Communion. Okay. That's not good.
Oh, I'm so surprised.
That's not good at all.
It's because the Eggo wasn't frozen. You gotta eat it frozen.
Ugh.
Ego after all. It's not
That was
real.
definitely not good. Not good at all. I think I wasted some sortilege. That's not. No bueno.
See, seeing you guys drink makes you upset. So if my husband is out there watching, please feel free to bring me an ice house. just throwing that out there.
Let's see. Is he in there? Let's see. I'll check the chat channel and see if he is listening.
He's such a creep. He probably is.
I don't see that he is. Uh-oh, trouble. But other than that, so we're going to talk about board games, get that going. We also want to thank, of course, our Broken Egg Games for sponsoring us. We are working with something with them right now and Mechanica Studios to bring you some new product for you guys and something that there's like 3 things I'm really super excited for to provide to the War Machine and Horse community. That's going to help the game a lot, we think, and some really interesting stuff's coming around. So we want to thank them while we're doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and, of course, I have to move the camera over because I only have 1 camera. I'm not rich like Kathy to have like 7 in her house. So I'm going to go and set my camera up. And while I do that, you're going to get some aerial shots, and we will start painting on my Grimkin. So here we go. Solo paint cam. Watch, I'm going to be upside down. And you can see my green screen too. Ready? Green screen, upside down. And now we're going to fly. Woo. Ah. All right, Kathy. Let's go ahead. And what are we going to talk about on a board game? What is our number 1 thing we want to talk about in the beginning?
The board games that are our very favorite ones. The ones that we played the most.
The ones we're going to play. The ones we played the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you play the most?
Actually, I haven't had a chance to play a lot of board games lately. I have been really, really busy with work and War Machine and Horde, so I'm not getting many board games in. So I'm kind of slacking in that department, which kind of irks me because there's some really, really good board games.
Oh, geez, yeah, there are. Well, And it's funny because I don't get a chance to play some of the new ones. The ones that I've been playing the most are
Uh huh.
old has been kind of stuff that's not in print anymore, especially with Mayfair being sold off to Asmodee,
Uh huh.
and some of their games are just being discontinued. Some of the older, not as good selling ones. So, what about you, Jackie?
Oh my goodness. I also haven't been playing a lot of board games. I've been playing goofy living card games recently. But I definitely have a good few regulars that I always come back to. I wouldn't say they're terribly old. I usually like the dungeon crawly stuff, things that are a little more Dungeon and Dragons-ish looking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you always go back to Power Grid and Settlers of Catan and all that stuff, though. We when you have friends over.
Yeah, Settlers is one of our favorites. That's on my list of favorites. Just the ones that you always return to or that you take over to a friend's when you're playing.
Let me know if it goes out of focus or anything happens because I'm trying to get this to set up properly. Today I'm going to work on. I'm gonna be working on my Mad Hatter unit. So going to be trying to get that done. What I'm going to do first, just before we get really into it, I am going to base coat the entire thing with some gray coat gray. If you can see
Right?
that, because this is going to be my paint scheme that I did for this one, which is, if you know, I'm doing my
Is
heretic,
that the
which
mo is that the monochromatic
yes,
paint scheme?
yes, and so I'm gonna fix that one up and finish that one, but that's what I'm gonna be working on, and that's what my paint schemes are. Blah 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 blah. So sorry, so we can go ahead and go and keep going. Sorry to interrupt. What else? Um, I do have a board game that I really really like to play, and it's kind of interesting. And I don't know if anybody's ever played Mice and Mystic. Oh, I heard
I
that.
haven't had a chance. My friends just picked that up recently, and we haven't had a chance to play yet.
I've been playing a bunch of that. I've played a bunch of that, trying to go through the story mode, or I wouldn't say story mode. Go through the game, which has a story mode, and you pretty much are like role playing in the game. So
Oh, that's cool.
I like it. If
That,
anyone's ever done it, also make sure you keep it. I can't watch chat at all, but
that's what I was hoping it would be like. Was more like a role-playing kind of a thing.
it is. It's a descent type style, if you know what I'm talking about, where you have the board map, and then you have to do certain things.
Somebody's controlling the board and the monsters, and everybody else is kind of cooperative.
No, it's all cooperative, and everybody plays their own character,
Okay.
and the opposite person that's not acting this turn is the one controlling the monsters. So if it's just you and I during my time of controlling them, you would control the monster, etc., etc.
Okay.
So
Well, I see. Oh, Xander says Civilization board game. Now, was that the old Civilization board game, or is that the Sid Meier Civilization board game? Because I enjoy both, but the old one is like takes 1,000 years to play.
I think all of them take 1,000 years to play.
I didn't know
Well,
there
we've
was one besides Sid Meier's.
we've played this. Oh, there was one that came out. I don't know if it was in the 1980s or 90s, but my friends had it. They've got all these like, and I don't remember who did it. If it was Avalon Hill, back in the day or what, but it's it's like, early Civ before it was Sid Meier's Civ, like Civ 1 maybe. And that was just a long ass game. And it's funny cuz my one of my favorite games, Age of Renaissance, is an Avalon Hill game, and it's similar in a way to uh Civilization, in that each region has commodities, and uh you're doing research, so you've got kind of the tech tree
Yeah,
going,
a
and
4X style type game.
yeah, and I just love that one. And oh, John goes Civilization and Advanced Civilization. Yeah, Yeah, it was complex enough to be an Avalon Hill game, and it makes sense that Age of Renaissance is similar to it in mechanics and just as complex. We were playing that last night until like 1 o'clock in the morning with a disgruntled teenager. So,
Well, there's your problem playing with a teenager.
you know what? It was still fun even with that. And I'm not just saying that because I lost only by a 200-point margin to the winner. It was a very close game.
Yeah. I actually own the Civilization board game, but I have not even played it yet. I have so many board games that I'm kind of just like, I need to play this one. But going back to Mice and Mystics, I actually own the expansion with it too, and I haven't had a chance to play the expansion because I haven't finished the story mode, or I haven't finished the first one. So I don't know how that works after the fact. I don't know why my paint's a little too thin. Um, so I'm kind of curious about it. Also, I picked up Tailfeathers, which is Mice and Mystics sort of um, with birds, and it's a flying combat style game. It looks pretty interesting. I own quite a few board games, but I haven't played them all. Because I also, like, one of the first board games I ever picked up was Android. Um, and it's by Fantasy Flight, and you pretty much, the entire game, it's sort of like you're a detective and you're trying to solve a crime, and it's, if it was based in the Shadowrun universe type thing, or not Shadowrun, Blade Runner. And so you have to solve this crime and open these puzzles up and do a bunch of different things, and it's pretty interesting. I liked it. It was one of my first big board games that I ever bought. And it was weird because when I bought it, I'm used to these board games, that were, nice and dainty, and it took a good like 30 minutes to almost set up the board game because there was so much to it and so much you had to do. So it was really interesting to get my head wrapped around that. So I really enjoyed that game. What's another one? Jackie, you got a board game you like to play?
Before we jump to that, Mice and Mystics, that comes with those little minis of the rats and the cats, right?
Minis of the mice, yes.
The mice.
Yeah.
How do they look? Because I
They're not
remember
bad.
seeing some of them, and some board games, it's worth it to buy it if you just want the minis out of it. And that was one of the ones I believe that it has like little rat warriors or something like that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, it's a little mice. Some of them are warriors, some of them are like a mage and an archer type thing. They're kind of stereotyped, but yeah. I had to add some more paint because it's a little too thin. And they're not bad. I mean, they're not. You're not going to be, super awesome with them, and they're not. You're not going to put them in for competition type stuff. But they're worth it.
That's cool.
They're fun. I mean, you could paint them up and have a decent paint job on them. Which, talking about models and paint jobs, I will be doing a review, and I finally can get around to do it. A review of the Dark Souls board game.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have that one.
Do you? Have you had a chance to play it
Yes.
yet?
I have.
Okay.
It was a really enjoyable experience. I actually played it once. That's one of the games where the minis themselves are so cool. They're worth the game. I'm a fan of Dark Souls. Played through them, and the boss models are awesome. It's pretty difficult. I don't know if you played the game or not, but you die a lot. They definitely keep that true to the game and whatnot.
So you've played the game.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do a double review on that one day?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you'll get together and we'll figure out, and we'll get together and double review that game. How about that?
Yeah, they'll give me a chance
That
to run
would
through it
be-
a second time. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll review it because that one's definitely it's done by Steamforge, which they're the Guild Ball guys, and they made the game, and it's a good game, but we won't get
Is
into
that the
details.
one that that was inspired by the video game or the
Yes.
PC game?
Yeah, it is based off the video game. Um, but we don't want to talk about that anymore because you don't want to spoil our review. We want people to listen. So we gotta be careful.
Yeah, what's Dark Souls?
What's
We'll
Dark
go
Souls?
past that.
No one can know what it is until the review.
So
Well, you know my penchant for spoiling,
yes.
all of our shows.
So we will do the review on that. And we can't go without talking about like Twilight Imperium.
Oh my God, that's an oldie. And,
Yeah.
well, didn't Fantasy Flight Games re-release that one, or am
They
I thinking of a different one?
no, they just re-released a new edition recently. And this is a game. Well, guys, I mean, and everybody knows if you know what Twilight Imperium is. This isn't a game that you're going to just sit down on like a lazy day and spend like an hour playing it.
You need to plan an entire afternoon and evening. You know what? Start at noon and plan to play until 4 a.m.
Just call off work.
Yeah, call off work. Don't worry about it.
Well, just make it a Saturday, and
It is a
your time.
game where you
Yeah.
have to do that though, where you're going to have to like devote a day to it because it's so much to do.
And that's how Arkham Horror is too.
The which one?
Arkham Horror.
I own
Oh
that
my
one too.
goodness, yes.
Yeah.
Don't play Arkham Horror around cats. There's so many little stacks of cards and stuff. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of stacks of cards and cats and tokens on a board, last night one of the very fluffy ragdoll cats jumped up onto the table while we were taking our dinner break, and before we were able to get him off the table, in the fear that he might sit down on the board and swish his tail around, where you've got all these different regions, and each region's ownership is indicated by these little cardboard tokens and everything, and we're just waiting for him to just send things flying. We're like, please get off the table now, and we don't want to scare the cat so that he spazzes out and flails around and knocks everything over. Yeah, it's not cat friendly.
I don't think any game is cat friendly.
No.
No.
Only Rails.
I'm really bent on finding a game that's cat friendly now.
No.
There's gotta be one. Uno?
All the Rails games usually are. Aside from your little game piece that denotes your train, everything else is you use a crayon to draw right on the board for your rails. So there's no pieces. That's one of my other games anyways. One of my
Rails.
other favorite. Another Mayfair game. Mayfair, having sold their most popular games to Asmodee North America, but their less well-selling games are just going to be discontinued. And I'm not sure if any of the Rails games qualifies as one of the discontinued ones, or if Asmodee is going to release them under their name. I'm not sure. I know they have Settlers of Catan, so that's not going away.
Oh yeah, that one's too popular.
But all the Rails games, I'm not sure about. I hope not, because they're fun games.
But going back to the Twilight Imperium, I own the old edition. I haven't had a chance to play the new edition, but I've looked at a few of the rules and talked to quite a few people that have played the newer edition. And the newer edition gets rid of a lot of the rules that bog down gameplay. It is still a long game. Still takes you a while to go through it. Takes you a while to do things. Still is a long game, so you don't have to worry about that. But it definitely is a better system. So if you own the first one, or if you own the last edition, definitely get the new edition. The new edition is much better. Better gameplay, quicker, solve some rules and arguments. So with that one, what's another good one? And I don't want to consider a board game, but it kind of is. Are all the card games. Like I like oh crap, now I went brain farted because I was thinking of the game and now I can't remember it. Um the Marvel card game. Crap.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I don't
Uh
either.
the Marvel card game. Shit, now it's gonna bug me. Hold on, I'm gonna look over there. Legendary. I know it's not a board game per se, but not the Munchkin. It's Legendary, which is it's kind of a deck builder, but it's kind of not, and you have to work together to win. But of course, you're working against each other to be the top winner. And they've got a ton of expansions for it. You know, they added like Spider-Man and all this other stuff to it to make it a really good game. And it's a really good cooperative win game. You only have one winner, but you definitely have to have, you got to work together or you won't get through it type thing. And I have a funny story about Legendary. Myself and a friend of mine, if anybody knows Juicebox, aka Chris, we went to Gen Con a few years back and they were having a Legendary tournament. So we were like, cool. And it wasn't a team tournament. It was just we signed up to play in it and have some fun. And, you know, the person that won got a copy of their new box for Legendary. And we signed up to play, went over there, started playing. And Chris and I had kind of pre-discussed that if we, you know, get into the same game together, we're going to try to help each other out. So we kind of colluded together to win the box. And when they set us down, they set me down and then put Chris right next to me. And Chris went after me when we played. And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, can we ask for anything easier to do? And so we would be feeding each other cards and stopping everybody else from playing. And he would just make sure that the person behind him and the rest of the turn was really crappy. And then it came around to my turn and it was really, really good. And so we walked away with a copy of their game. It was kind of funny. I mean, we just couldn't help ourselves. We were like, this is just too easy. And so we did it. But it's a really good game. If you have never played it, Legendary, they've got a bunch of different iterations of the type of game. But you have a set of bad guys, and the bad guys are on the board, and they have a certain set of missions they have to do. If you don't stop them by the time they get to a certain point, game's over. Everybody loses. Everybody else has build their own superhero deck with cards that are coming out or cards they can pick up. And then everybody tries to stop them. And at the end, whoever does XYZ the most is the winner. Really fun. I haven't played any of the new ones. I didn't get the Guardians of the Galaxy expansion and the new Star Wars. But it's definitely a good game.
That does sound like fun.
And there's some stuff that's really hard on there too, that if you don't do it right, you will get owned. So you have to be careful. Another good board game that I liked playing.
Zombicide.
See, I have never played Zombicide. Ever.
Either.
Oh, I might have to bring Zombicide to Adepticon. It would not be the first time that I brought Zombicide and played 2 or 3 or 4 games over the course of the weekend with total strangers, because
I'm
it's
a
really
stranger?
easy to pick up.
I'm not a stranger. Jeez.
But yeah, I was playing with a couple friends of mine, and just a random guy came and joined our game, and I was fine with it. I was like, does anybody else want to play? We can have 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy played, and to this day, I'm not sure if he's somebody that I know on Facebook. You know what I mean? If they're like a Facebook friend or whatever. And but he was really nice, and we all had a really good time. But a game of Zombicide is not short. It's going to be at least a couple hours, at least. Especially if you have new people playing, even though it is really easy to catch on, and it's a co-op game. So you're all in it, tooth and nail, hanging on, just like in one of the zombie horror movies. You're just battling for survival.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of different missions that are in the rule book, but now up on the forums they have a lot of people creating their own missions and their own maps with all the different fitting the different tiles together, and creating their new different characters, and just finding a miniature from Reaper or something that that is their character. But the miniatures themselves for Zombicide are really a nice quality too. They're a lot of fun to paint. They have a lot of character. It's one of my favorite games, and I haven't had a chance to play it that much this year. But there's a group of my friends when we get together. Uh, there's like six of us, and if one of them isn't there, and somebody else sits in, it's really co-op, and we discuss what each other is going to do. And I have these weapons. Do you think this weapon would be better for you because you have this skill? It's not like I'm hoarding all the best weapons so that I can kill as many zombies as I want and go into the red, while all the rest of you schmoes are back in the blue with only one skill, which means we're all going to die and lose because I'm being a selfish bitch. Because I know there's some people who play it that way, and I don't understand that.
Well, not if it's a
And they're
fully
all like,
cooperative
I don't
game.
know why people like Zombicide, and I'm like, dude, you
Now,
need to
see,
cooperate.
the last zombie game I played, board game, was Dead of Winter. And
I've never played that one.
Dead of Winter is a really good zombie game, zombie survival game where you're all playing. Sorry, I'm trying to keep this in here, but there's so many nooks and crannies in this that can get off track. Zombicide is, or Dead of Winter is a zombie survival game. You play a person or a group of people, depending on how you divide it up, and you're trying to survive, the zombie apocalypse. So you have to get materials, protect your base. Zombies come in, can attack your base, stuff like that. Um, but you have to, you all have a mission and an individual. You have your mission of yourselves as a group, but then you have an individual mission, and you have to complete your individual mission to see who the ultimate winner is. So you could actually have a mission where, or an objective that you have to screw over all the players and make sure like XYZ dies, or something of that nature. Um, so there is that aspect. It is a cooperative, but there can be times where if someone has a bad mission or bad objective, they may have to screw the party over. But you can't screw them over enough where nobody wins, type thing. So you have to be kind of careful of how you do it. Um, and they've had an expansion to it, which I haven't played yet, but it's a really good zombie survival game. Of course, with Walking Dead being so popular, this kicks off
I've
pretty
never
easy.
watched Walking Dead, and it's like I said to people on the Twitch chat. I've never been a big fan of the zombie genre, of TV shows and all that stuff. It's just not my thing, but the game kind of fell into my lap, and I just really enjoy the mechanics of it. I enjoy the cooperation, that takes place. It's a very social game for me. And so it could be anything. It could be aliens, it could be, monkeys, it could be anything that we're battling against. It doesn't matter.
So you like more cooperative games than battle
I
against
really
each other.
enjoy that. Like, I also like Battlestar Galactica,
Mm-hmm.
the Fantasy Flight game,
Yep.
and that's cooperative. Except for now, you've got Cylons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're infiltrating. So everybody gets a loyalty card. So you may be a loyal human at the beginning of the game, and everybody in the game might be loyal humans at the beginning of the game, or there might be somebody who is a secret Cylon,
Yep.
which is a bit different from Secret Santa. Um,
Yeah, I don't think there's any gifts given away at this game.
I mean, and you don't show anyone your loyalty card, so nobody knows if you're a Cylon. So you're all playing, you're all happy, you're fighting the Cylons when their ships come outside the Galactica, and eventually, the Cylon will reveal themselves, or maybe they won't, and depending on how many players you have, you could be the only Cylon,
Mm-hmm.
or there could be another Cylon, and there's two phases of the loyalty deck. So at the beginning, everybody gets a loyalty card, and then in the middle of the game, everybody gets another loyalty card once you reach a certain point.
Yep.
And you might have been a loyal human at the beginning, but really you were just a sleeper agent. You didn't know, and
Correct.
it turns out you're actually a Cylon.
Yep. Used to
And
own that.
and now you've got to like change your whole strategy. And I love that game. You're like, there's a traitor. It's like Betrayal at House on the Hill, when everybody is all together, playing, and then all of a sudden, wham, you've got the traitor, and their agenda changes, and the whole story changes.
Yeah, I've got a cool story about Betrayal House on the Hill. Playing with some guys, and the house actually started to fly in midair and started to fly up. And the winner was the one that could take the parachute and jump out of the house and get away from the house.
Oh my
Because
God.
and so the guy that won fought everybody and knocked everybody, got her there, and got the parachute, and then jumped out of the house while everybody else died. So I mean, it was like everybody had to die for you to win. So he was like, screw you guys, I'm taking the parachute. So there's only one parachute in the whole place. So that's another game. That's a good game too. I heard the newer edition is much better than the one I have, which kind of stinks. Kind of clears up some rules and does some other things. Which that also has some pretty. No, that's not the one I'm talking about. There's another game that's got some pretty decent miniatures.
There's a whole bunch of them that have decent miniatures, and there's other ones that have kind of mediocre miniatures. Like
Yep.
Shadows over Camelot is a fun game, and that's another one where you're cooperative until somebody turns traitor. But they have all the Knights of the Round Table, and I was painting them for my friend's game just for kicks, and they were not the best models, and one of the faces of one of the knights was like this melty blob of plastic. So I had to just like paint all of the features onto it, and he just kind of has this smiley face look to him.
It's like something out of the Goonies or something.
It was weird looking, yeah.
Well, I mean, miniatures on the whole for a board game have really gone up, and we talked about that when we did our Wanderer episode, and that was a lot of board games are having really good miniatures now.
Yeah.
Which,
the Wander miniatures are fantastic, and they're sculpted by Patrick Keats, who's one of my favorite miniature sculptors.
Yeah, which we have asked him to come on the podcast, and he has graciously said yes. We're going to have him and Doug Hamilton on at one point, talking about traditional sculpting versus digital sculpting. So,
that'll be fun, because I've dabbled in traditional sculpting, but I have a lot of questions for people who do digital sculpting. When I was at ReaperCon, there was a couple people who do the digital sculpting for Reaper, and I was, just hammering them with questions because I think it would be fun, and I would love to get my hands on a copy of ZBrush so that I could just play with it, with the digital sculpting software.
I've never done any of it, so I have no freaking clue. I just know that I never did it. What's some other board? Let's talk about the difference between the board games, because we've said it a couple of times already. Talking about competitive versus cooperative, and then there's cooperative with a twist.
But there's also competitive games that are less complex, and there's competitive games that are incredibly complex. And other people have already mentioned like Civilization, and I mentioned Age of the Renaissance, which is an Avalon Hill game, and Avalon Hill is famous for stupidly complex games
Yeah,
that take 800 years to play.
which was there's always a place for those really big games.
And I
Um,
love them. You
yeah,
know, I'm a sucker for those games that, like I said, you start at noon and you're playing it until like 4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah. But there's also a good thing to say about games that aren't. And I think this is where we want to kind of go with the conversation is you can have a competitive game and then you can have a competitive co-op and then you can have, a complete co-op game. And it also depends on your group. I know, like, for example, when I play a board game, depending on who I'm playing with, it's usually, hey, get Gonzo out as quick as possible. Or it's, hey, get that other guy out as quick as possible because they know that they can win, which I use to my advantage. Because when I played, I can't remember what game it was. I was playing a game with some friends, and I was playing Kiss with my friend Chris. And they were like, we always try to get Chris out because Chris always wins. So I'm like, oh, okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's get him out as quickly as possible. But I hindered their gameplay to take out Chris so I could win. So while they were all concentrating on Chris, taking Chris out, I was like, all right, I'm going to secretly do all my stuff and get all my stuff done. And get that done. Which is, that's kind of underhanded and mean. But hell, if you're going to do that, I'm going to take it out. And I prefer cooperative games that are with a secret objective. So you're all working together for a mission, but you each have your own secret objective. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like the Cylon and Battlestar Galactica or Dead of Winter. You all have something that you can do individually that's secret from what everybody else is doing. But
Okay, yeah, so everybody's got their own agenda.
yes, on
There's
top of it.
there's a good game that fits in that category with you guys. Have either of you ever played any of the Cash and Guns games?
I own Cash and Guns, and I've played it.
Do you own the old one or the new one?
The newer one.
Oh, do ya?
Yeah.
I haven't played it yet.
It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot like that. You can, you all get your foam gun and whatnot, and you can build alliances, but they always break down. There's a really fun game mode in it that's honestly more fun than the game itself. It's I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's like Who's the Cop? It's kind of like the Stargate one. Everyone gets a card, and everyone's a robber, and one person's a cop, and you got to find out who's phoning the police and whatnot. That's a good one though, and that one's easy peasy. You can learn it quick. You can do quick little sessions. Really fun if you have people that are not super into the board games but want to have fun still. Normies, I guess you want to call them.
Yeah, because I mean, there's people that want to play a board game but don't want to play that 10-hour session or 5-hour session or whatever, and I can totally see it because sometimes that can just get crazy. And there's certain games that I have where it's games you can take and you can play at the dinner table where you're eating at. So if you're going to at a restaurant, you're all just hanging out, and you're just going to do some hanging out and eating, and it's not like a really big heavy restaurant that y'all can do this at. But a game that I know a lot of people like to play is Love Letter.
I did play that one time, and it was fun. I don't remember a whole lot about it,
Yeah.
but I remember we all had a blast with it.
Yeah, and it's a quick and easy. It's really simple, and it's only like it's just a few cards, so you're not you don't have to bring a lot of stuff with it. I know a lot of people that do guillotine, which is where you have to sever the heads of famous people, and whoever the famous people are depends on how many points you get. And that's a quick and easy game that you can do.
I picked up a game at Gen Con last year called Einstein. There's more to it, but I really enjoy it because now you've got kind of puzzle pieces that you have to fit together based on experiments that you have to complete, which are on cards. So you draw cards, and those cards have shapes that you have to complete using the tiles that you have at hand. and meanwhile the person you're playing against is using the same bunch of tiles to complete their shapes, their experiments that are on their cards, and it's it's fun, but it's pretty fast paced. It's competitive, but it is like one of those games where you could be eating and playing a game, and the game only takes like a half an hour or 45 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's, Love Cart is an easy one. Love Note, excuse me. And it's quick and easy. You don't have to, and like I said, it's only like 10 cards or so. And then, or 8 cards. It's like a very small card count. So you could have it in your pocket and then play, and you don't have to worry about it. Love Letters, excuse me. Um, Also, Guillotine. It comes in a box, but you can actually, pull the cards out and play. Um, and those games are really good and to have just to play while you're waiting for your dinner to come out, or you know doing whatever you need with them. Add a little bit more gray to that model. I'll work on that a little bit later. And I think those games are really important,
Yeah, the
especially
shorter, fast-paced games, definitely there is a place for those. My husband picked me up a game called Red Shirts, and so you're all. I mean, it's not official Star Trek,
but yeah,
um,
It's Star
but
Trunk.
but you're all on a spaceship, and you're exploring, and the goal of the game is to have as many of your red shirts die horribly um, as you can, rather than rescuing them or anything. You need to be the person at the end of the game who has no red shirts left.
that's funny.
And so it's all like Bizarro World. It's the opposite of what you would think, and it takes a while to get into the mindset of I don't want to build up my red shirts. I want to kill them. I want to make sure they die by
Um,
whatever means necessary.
Going with that, there's a game that we play, and we always, before we played a role playing session, we would always play this game, and it's I Overlord. I don't know if anybody's ever played it before, but it is a fun little game to play. And one person plays the Overlord, and everybody else plays goblins. And they have to use the cards they have in their hand to try to convince the Overlord that it wasn't their fault that they messed up and the plot is foiled, and so on and so forth. So you have to interpret the cards, and you kind of have to butt kiss whoever's playing the Overlord and blame other people for what the mistake was. And it's a fun little game. And you have to not be able to, it's a game of bullshit, but you have to use the cards to bullshit your way through the reason why it's not your fault, and you have to try to convince whoever's playing the Overlord that they weren't at fault. But it's a really fun game too, and it's a quick and small game. Sort of like all the Flux games and everything.
Oh, I love the Flux games.
Yep.
The first time I played Monty Python, or was it Monty Python, or was it specifically the Holy Grail? I don't remember. That version of Flux. I played it with complete strangers,
Uh
like
huh.
6 people that I had never met at a game store. We had so much fun; it was ridiculous, and we're all like talking in these hideous accents, because there are cards that require you to speak in an accent. You know,
Nice.
it's it's so much fun. Yeah, the Monty Python Flux is definitely worth getting. I actually have the Cthulhu Flux too, and that one's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I want
have
that one.
So I love the Flux games,
I have
and they
Batman
can
and
either be
zombies.
really short. They have a Batman one.
Yeah, they have a
Is it the
Batman.
Batman animated series?
Oh my god,
No, yeah,
that's awesome!
they have a Batman Flux. No, it's not the animated series. It's just normal
Uh, I
Batman.
have the animated series one. And I have, if it's Cartoon Network, I'll buy it. So I have that.
And those games right there, the little small quick games that you can grab and play really quickly, are really good. And I know it's kind of stupid. I'm not showing my age or anything, but whenever I go out to eat with people, I don't want people looking at their phone because I'm there, especially if I'm going out for a social event, like I'm going to a convention. I don't want people looking at their phone and stuff. I want to enjoy your company, and so these little small games are an easy way to get people pulled away from their phone and socialize and have a good time. Nothing wrong with looking at your phone. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not that old. But if I'm
Yeah,
at a
yeah, you
convention,
are
yeah,
actually.
I just want, I want, quality time with people.
Do you play cribbage?
No, I'm not that old.
Though, that's a good way to maximize your buffet time.
Oh, yeah, that's
Go
true,
to
too.
Old Country Buffet, you want to get like 6, 7 plates in, but you just take a little breather in the middle.
You do. So you like whip out the cribbage board,
Yeah, so you're not
and
loitering.
you just go to town. Me and my friend used to do that at Perkins. There was a Perkins near us that was 24/7, and we would go out dancing. And at like 2 when the bars closed, we would go to Perkins and we would play cribbage until like 4 o'clock in the morning or something before we went home. And that's an underrated game as far as, card games go. Everybody thinks of card games as like Magic or Dominion or,
Mm-hmm.
the deck building games and
Yep.
everything. And I'm like, you know what? I just like a deck of cards and a cribbage board. And, 4 people, we can play partners. It's super easy. All you do is count and score. And, and you can do best 2 out of 3.
I was coming over to look at this while I'm waiting for some paint to dry. And Ship Captain Crew's another one, but you have to play that. You can't play that with anybody. You have to play that at a convention. You can't play that without everything. And it's usually got a lot of drinking involved, and it's a gambling game. So, yeah. Oh, that's another one. I have not played Shadows of Brimstone Legionnaires. I've heard about it, and I've seen it. I just never did it. I have played Betrayal before, and I like that because it's a good, fun game. And yeah, diplomacy is good for losing your friends.
You can't have a game conversation without at least mentioning Cards Against Humanity.
Oh yeah, that's always a good one to introduce
It's
to
a
see
great
who can
party
hand.
game. It's a great convention game. There was one Adepticon where a bunch of our friends were over from the UK to play Warhammer,
Mm-hmm.
and and they brought the UK version of Cards Against Humanity. And there's a thing. It's different. All of their pop culture references and all of their bizarre, filthy slang terms are very different
Uh huh.
from the US version, as it turns out. So I'm like looking at the guy next to me going, what does this mean? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure it's dirty, but I have no idea what this means.
That's funny because the last thing you want to do is Google any of those.
Oh my
What's
god,
some kind
yeah.
of warning?
Well, it was talk
Please, not my search history.
another
The
one
FBI will knock on your door.
that I we like to play and I like to bring it to conventions is Epic Spell Wars. Have y'all ever
Never
played that?
heard of that one.
Oh, Epic
have not
Spell Wars
either.
is funny as hell to play. You play a wizard, and you have to knock out the wizards that are also playing, so y'all can be the best wizard. But the thing is you have to build your wizard spell. So you have 3 cards, and one's the beginning, middle, and end to the spell. And whenever you cast the spell, you have to do it in your best wizardry voice, and go all crazy with it. And if you don't, they can knock you out and say your spell doesn't work. And stuff. So I mean, but some of the spells are just like really stupid, and it's kind of like a Card Against Humanity type humor. Nothing really really bad, but definitely some adult humor mixed in with that. So that's another good card game that
Are
you
you gonna
could try.
bring that to Adepticon so we can play?
Oh, I could bring that to Adepticon. That's a good fun one to bring to Adepticon.
Awesome.
What's some other good board games? I'm looking at my stuff right now while I'm waiting for my paint to dry. Um, I've got a few that I haven't even had a chance to play. I've got way too many board games. Like I have Fife, and I have all the expansions with it, and I got it really, really cheap. But it's a game where you play a medieval, and you have to go through like you have to marry people off, so you get to play like your daughter and granddaughter and all that type of stuff, type thing. Um, we always can always talk about A Few Acres of Snow and Twilight Struggle. Those are always good, solid games. Um, because they're some of the top quality board games of all time. Um, let's see, I got Eclipse, which is another game like Twilight Imperium where it takes forever to play, but it is worth it. What's some other fun ones?
Cosmic
is
Encounters.
exploding. Oh my God, Cosmic Encounters.
Yes, that's a good one.
So I played that once with a bunch of people who had played it all through college. Like that is all they did in their free time when they were in college together. They had every single race and ability memorized. And they're like, "Oh, you'll love this game, Kathy." And I sat down to play, and I had no idea what was going on. And they're like, "I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this," and I'm like, "I'm just gonna die, I guess." Okay.
It's a good time to play the pacifist.
But Xander's.
That was who just re-released Cosmic Encounter? Was that a Fantasy Flight game as well?
I think. I don't know.
I know they seem to be re-releasing, like getting the rights to a bunch of old games and re-releasing them, but I don't
No
remember.
clue.
I know it just came out again. So I had one experience playing it. I heard it was fun. I'd like to give it a go with people who don't have every single thing memorized.
Oh yeah. I saw that Xander was talking about Exploding Kittens.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's a fun game. It's a fun party game.
Mm-hmm. I have a good story about Exploding Kittens. I have a friend of mine, Nick. Nick is usually who I always travel with and always room with. And Nick sometimes talks in his sleep. And not this last War Machine weekend, but the one before that, I think. Or Midwest Melee. I can't remember which convention we were at. And Kim and I were sitting in bed just talking and whatever. And it was really, really late at night. We were just kind of winding down from the tournament. And Nick had been asleep for probably a few hours. He went to bed pretty early compared to what we were doing. And I'm talking like he was in bed for 3 or 4 hours. And her and I are just sitting there talking, whispering. We're not waking anybody up. And Nick sits up, straight up out of bed, and puts his feet on the edge of the bed and goes, "Exploding Kittens, boom, bazooka, blow up, gah!" And then just lays back down and goes to sleep. And he was dead asleep the entire time. And I was like, "You all right, Nick?" And he was just back asleep. And it just happened so much. It was so damn funny. And I don't give him crap for it, but we just always joke about it because he can get very vocal in his sleep, and it's just so hilarious because it was just random. Quickly sit up, put his legs over the edge of the bed on the free, and just spout out random exploding kitten stuff.
That's awesome.
We just laughed our ass off. What time is it, Kathy?
It is 2 minutes to our media section.
Let's do a quick section about up and coming board games that are coming out. I know that, guys, we did a podcast on Wonder, and those guys their board game is coming out soonish because their Kickstarter is over. But anybody else have any other board games they want to talk about?
I know. Well, I guess it's actually more of like a living card game. A game that just came out that I just got. Actually, it came out closer to Christmas. Was Dragonfire. That's the Dungeons and Dragons card game.
Uh huh.
Ooh, tell us about it.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun. It's difficult. It's cooperative. You
My
can.
camera.
It kind of reminds me of Descent, but not so much heavy on like the tile pieces and whatnot. It's like if you place that with cards,
Uh-huh.
you have your character sheet is a card like Descent. You could be, a orc or a dwarf, a stereotype from the Dungeon and Dragons world,
Uh-huh.
and then you guys go in your party together. Our first experience, we didn't understand the rules fully. It was a test run, so we could have been doing it slightly incorrectly, but we were destroyed. Definitely, you definitely want to be careful and actually really think about your actions. It's really fun. And what else? And there's another game that, since you guys are talking about re-releases, I think it just got released towards the end of the year. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Last Night on Earth, but they
Yes.
just had a
Oh
10-year edition come
yeah,
out. Yeah, that's a good one.
I really enjoy that one. Yeah.
That's another fun one you could probably bring out to a con or something.
Yeah.
Maybe not a dinner table. Too many little pieces. But...
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a little more involved than dinner, but yeah, that's a really fun one. We've had a lot of good times with that one. And it's funny because we were playing that before I got my hands on Zombie Side, and they're kind of similar. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of. But yeah, Last Night on Earth is another one of the zombie cooperative games.
Yep. Um, Switched over to the camera so we can get back to this when we go to the thing. I actually have to say that overall, board games in general have been really, really good in the last 10 years.
No, they've had some. There's some old ones from the 80s and 90s that some old chestnuts that are good that people just have forgotten about.
but
And
but I
like Jim
mean,
and I always talk about how we hope that that Fantasy Flight picks up some of these old Avalon Hill ones
uh-huh.
and reconditions them and re-releases them with like new artwork and maybe some rules clarifications on a few things, like Age of Renaissance. It's out of print. You can't find it anywhere.
Hmm.
But I would love to see them re-release that one.
But I mean, overall, I'd say in the last like 7 to 10 years, board games have been really, really good. I mean, and we're getting some good solid ones, um, and not all of them are like the Twilight Imperium. There's some good, solid, quick and easy board games
Yeah.
that are fun.
So many different ones. You've got so many different play styles,
Yes.
you know.
So we're gonna go into our media section. I noticed that we've got quite a few people in our chat channel. I appreciate everybody showing up. If you like what we're talking about, give us a follow. Follow us here and on YouTube and on Facebook. We appreciate it. We always take any type of anything you want to say in our suggestion box or want to tell us that, hey, y'all need to do more of this or do that. Let us know. We always like to hear from our fans. And then let's go ahead and go to media section and talk about what we watched this week. And let's see. Come on, click them on over. There we go. I'm going to have to fix the screen for a minute, so I'm going to fix that screen while we're talking. Why don't we go, Kathy? What can you talk about today?
So the only thing I've really watched this week is a few episodes of the second season of Broadchurch, which I am woefully behind on. I mean, it's been a few years, and I actually had to think to remember just what it was that happened with it. But that's another BBC show.
Mm-hmm.
I watch the British TV. That's kind of all I really watch these days.
I watch the British TV.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I'm watching, and they locally we used to have this channel called MHZ World View,
Mm-hmm.
which was newscasts from around the world, but they also would play detective shows from different countries. So we could watch like Tatort from Germany, or we could watch Montalbano from Italy, uh, or Spiral from France, with subtitles, but they're really good shows. And our local PBS, I don't know if they lost their funding or what it was, but that channel went away. So I'm very sad that my international mysteries are gone now. So I've been making do with just the British ones. But it's just Broadchurch is what I've been watching, and that one stars David Tennant as as a detective, and it's a drama. There's really not anything comedic about it.
No, because they actually brought that. They brought that over and and redid it for the American audience.
They tried. They
It
did
didn't. It
try.
wasn't as good. It
No,
it
it
it,
almost never is.
it wasn't. I mean, because even it just it didn't have that feel like the BBC version. So yeah, no bueno. Um, I got one that I can talk about before we let Jackie, because I know Jackie said she's got like 17 she wants to talk about.
Oh,
Um,
cool! Because I have nothing else.
That might be an over exaggeration, being
um,
16.
I'm gonna go with I'm going with Congo. I've been watching a pretty decent amount of the Olympics lately. I don't have cable, so I use PlayStation View for all my stuff, and so it DVRs everything that's on there, and I like learning about sports I don't know a lot about. Like I didn't know all the rules of curling, so I looked it up, and I don't mind watching curling. Um,
Yeah.
all the snowboarding, I don't care much for ice skating. I don't care for any of that stuff. Um, but like the speed skating stuff, yeah, I could deal with that. I was watching those guys go around, and what was it last night? The skeleton going down the skeleton sled. Where the person's going down the track at like 75, 80 miles per hour with their
Oh my God, I
head.
love that.
Their
Yes.
head is centimeters to hitting the bottom of the track all the time, head first. I'm like, balls. That thing was just, I was like,
It's
holy crap.
it's extreme sledding right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I thought it was funny as one of the commentators is like, yeah, people don't start out in skeleton. They usually do something else and come to skeleton because no parent's going to go, yeah, let my kid do this part of this, sport to start off with, which
I
is
mean,
kind of
I
funny.
always we used to slide down the hills on head first, but that was absolutely not Olympic at all.
Yeah. So I've been watching quite a bit of the Olympics also, which is still good. I'm not much of a Winter Olympics guy, but I'm not going to argue with it. I enjoy watching Olympics just because I like seeing everybody do new things and try new stuff.
Well, I do like the ice skating, but I like watching dancing too. So ice skating is fun. The snowboarding I love.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun this year. Um, Curling, I'm just not into. I don't. Yeah. Sorry, Canadians. I just don't get the appeal. Um,
Other than that,
it's it's like bowling on ice.
sort of. Jackie, what's your first thing you want to talk about today?
I do want to say, so curling, I have been convinced my whole life, and no one's proved me wrong yet, that it's actually a big Canadian joke, and that they're doing little Swiffer thing isn't actually doing anything. They're just making fun of us the whole time for going like, yeah, look at that thing go. I feel like there's a conspiracy theory behind curling. They're like, what can we get Americans to cheer for? I might be offending some diehard curlers,
Yeah.
curlies
Throw
out
some
there.
rocks. Throw some rocks across the ice, and then follow it. Get some brooms going and tiny brooms.
Ice bowling.
That'll appeal to people.
Americans will buy tickets for anything.
Yeah. Just tell them
let's
it's foreign and exotic.
And there's beer afterwards. Let's see, what did I watch? Well, I watched a good bit. I'll start off with movies before I get to series. I watched for one of the. It's the first time not on television, so it was pretty horrifying. I don't know if I'm sure you guys heard it. The Thing.
Oh yeah.
John,
Oh
what's his
wait,
name? Something
what?
Carpenter.
I've never seen it. Yeah, John Carpenter. Yeah, I've still never seen it. So don't feel bad.
I watched it on television, and I was like, oh, it's like a mystery movie. Oh, some things happen. I don't want to spoil a movie that came out like 20 minutes ago, but there are casualties and whatnot. And we decided to pop it in. He got on DVD. My husband has a huge The Thing tattoo, so it's really rude of me to not even actually know about the movie. So we watched it, and oh my god, it's something about those 80s effects is so disgusting. It gets me every time. And I was eating pizza we were watching it, and the sauce just reminded me of the blood, and oh man.
Oh, that totally makes me think of the first time I saw Werewolf London.
Oh, that was really good too.
Because we were eating pizza too, and the guy's friend who, spoilers, gets killed, is talking to him. He keeps appearing to the guy, and he's got this like his throat has been ripped out, and he's got this little bit of skin that just keeps wiggling back and forth as he's talking. And we're like sitting there eating pizza and stuff, and it looks eerily similar.
Little pepperoni hanging down there, little mushroom.
Yeah. So, but go on with your stuff that you've been watching.
I watched a lot of one thing as well. I don't know how you guys are into American mainstream anime, but I recently watched like 15 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Super, which is the. Well, the thing about it is, I was, who doesn't like Dragon Ball Z? So
Me.
I had to watch it eventually.
Well, hush, you, hush.
At least it's not Naruto.
I don't watch that either.
Naruto.
I can't stand that one too.
Nobody does. It's okay. They just say they do. But it was so classic Dragon Ball Z. At first, it's all this screaming and unnecessarily long dialogue and standing alone in battle, just talking for 3 episodes straight. I'm like, this is awful. This is just filler of the anime. But then I realized, wait a minute, that literally is Dragon Ball Z. So at least they're keeping true and making it 6.5 episodes for nothing to happen. So that was fun. That was a good one there. I didn't finish it, but I got pretty far. What else did I watch? I watched. So the Olympics are afoot, and local television likes to play. I think it's called Cool Runnings. It's the Jamaican bobsled.
Yeah.
So that's not really relevant, but I got to, watch that. Definitely 5 out of 5 stars every time.
John Candy is amazingly good in that and amazingly funny. A funny, good spoofy show. And it's not even a spoofy, it's, comedy based on what actually happened. But it's definitely a good John Candy movie. I did watch a TV series also, and I was waiting for a friend of mine to come home, and I was in there, and her roommate was watching, what is it, How to Train Your Dragon, the TV series that's on Netflix, Race Wars or whatever it is, or I can't remember which one, but it's not the movies, it's the show. And I had watched Troll Hunter, which is on Netflix also. It's a Netflix TV show, and it's done by the same animation company. You can tell 100% it's done by the same people, same thing, everything. And it there were some jokes in there that definitely you can tell that they're catering to the adults watching this show. And it was kind of funny because I guess they were talking about the S house. S is in the letter S. And they were like, oh, it's hitting me in the S. Oh no, there goes my S. And you can tell that they were stretching for ass the whole time while they were saying it because of the accent. And it was just, I was like, oh, kids aren't going to get this because it's meant for a young audience. But you can tell there's a lot of adult humor in it, which is good. Especially if you have to watch it with your kid. But I mean, it wasn't a bad one. It's How to Train Your Dragon, the TV series, which was pretty decent. I only watched a few episodes, but other than that, it was pretty decent. Did you watch any movies, Jackie? Besides
Cool
the
Runnings.
thing? Then that was it?
The thing in Cool Runnings, it's funny. I do all this stuff throughout the week, and I'm usually binge watching something, but when I have to sit down and actually recall it, I don't remember any of it.
Stop drinking
give
so
me like
much.
10 seconds, I'm sure I'll remember something.
Well, I can go and go with my, let's go and go, I went and saw Black Panther today.
Oh, yes, you did.
And before I start with my review, I've got a pet peeve of mine. I love trailers before the movies. I really do. I love trailers before the movies. I love watching trailers. I love, seeing movies come out. I love trailers. But one of the things that really kind of irks me about it, and I know there was actually a lawsuit at one point about this, was I always get to the movie theater like 45 minutes before the show starts. It's just something of mine. I hate getting to the theater and not getting where I want to sit. I usually sit right in the middle, up and middle, so the screen is 100% in my middle view. And so I sit there 30, 40 minutes before the movie starts and, just chill. Movie starts at, say the movie's going to start at 1 o'clock. The movie doesn't actually start till 1:20 because they show about, 11 to 12 minutes of commercials that were
Oh,
on previously, and then they show the trailers, which I hate that. It pisses me off more than anything. I hate having to sit through commercials before it. You've already shown enough while people are sitting there waiting for the movie. Don't make me watch more. I don't mind trailers because that's kind of what we're there for. Hey, go see our movie in front of it. But I mean, it's getting worse and worse. It used to be 5 minutes worth of commercials, and now it's like
Like by the time you
15
get
minutes of
done with,
commercials, and
and
then
then
they
you
show the
have to go
trailers.
pee before the trailers finally start, before the movie finally starts already. And your popcorn's already gone, thank you very much.
Yes, I mean, so Black Panther was 2 hours and 15 minutes, which means we had to go past that. So it was another 20 to 30 minutes past that showtime. And whenever John told me he was late from watching the movie, I was like, that's
Yeah.
probably the reason why. He was thinking
Yep.
it was a 2.5 hour movie, and it was actually 3 hour movie after all the
Yeah.
commercials and the trailers. So that's just a real big pet peeve of mine. I don't mind that. Um, and of course, anybody that talks or checks their phone or whatever during the movie, it pisses me off too. But that's another story. So Black Panther review. Newest Marvel series. Um, we've all seen the trailer. We all know what Black Panther's about. He's already been in some stuff. I thought that was really interesting that everybody was toting this as representation of black culture and blah blah blah, the whole theme on that, and it was good. I don't have a problem with it. But I didn't go in that mindset of this is a movie meant to just have black culture all through it. Because people were like, well, you're not going to like it because I had one black person goes, you're really not going to like it because there aren't many white people in it. So I was like, that's not why I'm going to this movie. It's a Marvel
Yeah.
movie. It's a superhero movie,
Yeah.
which was really a good movie. Um, there was a time when I was watching the movie, and I did do the lose track of time because I got all caught up, and I was watching it very into what they were doing in the movie, and then there was a couple of scenes, a couple of things that just kind of dropped me out of the disbelief that it wasn't. Um, there there's something about whenever you're doing a superhero movie, and it's a first superhero movie, and you're doing the origin and then what they're doing, and then they fight the bad guy and then they win, or whatever how it's supposed to go. And this kind of didn't follow that, and I can understand why. For the simple fact that we already know about Black Panther in the previous Marvel movies. So there's a little bit of information that they give you to get you caught up. And then it gets into all the characters and they all start doing stuff and everything keeps going. It 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 had some really good graphics. My good complaint was it was fun. It was a good Marvel movie. Not the best one in my opinion, but a very good one. Action scenes were really good. Combat, all that stuff was really good. Um, but it just kind of led to the fact that one, as soon as I watched it, my mind goes, every good guy creates the bad guy for their story in some way or another. And I'm kind of, and I know that's how it is and knows what's going on. But every time I see a bad guy, I go, oh, the good guy created the bad guy because the good guy accidentally did X, Y, Z. Um, and I'm just kind of like, ugh, it just kind of grated on my nerves because I saw it coming from the very beginning. Um, but it was a really good Marvel movie. Of course, not Captain America. John, quit your nitpicking, dork. Um, but a lot of them, and you could just you saw this coming from a mile away. Um, they brought up some good aspects, some good lines from the movie that are relevant to today, and you can definitely tell that when they wrote some of the lines for this, it definitely shows up in what our current political climate is, which is kind of interesting. Um, it was good. Um, didn't have any disbelief problems about what was going on. Typical Marvel stuff. You know, you kind of just shut your brain off on certain things. Um, I wish I would have saw more of Black Panther though. I wish I would have saw him doing more in more in the show. The rest of the crew that were there was really good. What's her face? I don't even know what the actress's name was, and I'm kind of ticked off that I don't know her name. Um, but they call her General in Black Panther. I'm gonna look her up real quick because she um, where is it? Can't even figure. I think her name's Dora Milaje, Milage. Um, she was one of the sub main characters in it, and she was amazing. I'd watch a show just with her. Um, was it, is it? No, that's not who it is. Uh, so I can find her name. But it's who they call General. Yes. Um, yeah, she plays on Walking Dead. Um, but they call her General in there, and she's like the head of the Royal Guard and stuff. I can't remember. I can't remember. But she was incredible. I was like, I wanted to see more of her. I was like, this woman's awesome. She's doing a great job in acting. The character's great and understandable. She's a blast to watch. I wanted to see more of her. She was just incredible. To me, Black Panther kind of was the side character in this, though. And I think that would I think it's what kind of hit me in the wrong, what the thing. There it is.
I can see that it is
Thanks,
called
Xander.
Black Panther.
Yeah, because it was Black Panther. It's more. It should have been called, uh, you know, not Black Panther.
Black Panther and Friends.
Panther and Friends, yeah, or Wakanda, or whatever. Because that's what the real story was about that area. Uh, but he didn't show us as much as I'd like for him to be. It was more about Wakanda and the side characters, and Black Panther was kind of the subset to it. He didn't do as much as like everybody else. It was like they were trying to show all the other characters all at the same time. So yeah, Black Panthers and Friends would probably be the best way to describe the show. It was still good. Minor issues, but nothing huge. There were two after scenes, after the credit scenes, and really they were kind of a letdown. One of the after scenes could have been in the show. It had nothing really to add. There was no need to have it as an after credit scene. The second one could have just been the after credit scene, and you see it from a mile away because it's actually kind of foretold within the movie. When I mean, I can't say it without spoiling part of it. It was really neat. It was a good, fun movie. I'd say maybe pushing it, maybe 2 shots of Kraken. And that's kind of pushing it, saying 2 shots. Let's see it again, just to, kind of get a full thing in. Because I actually was kind of bugged by these 3 teenage kids that were there that were like, they didn't talk through it, but they were just like, you could tell they were super fans. And they would just make a comment here and there, so it kind of got me distracted. No, I did not see it in 3D, Xander. I don't watch movies in 3D. Can't stand them.
I hate 3D. Hate it.
It was good though, not bad, not their best in my opinion, but it was still good. I definitely go to the theater and watch it. I did had to crack up because there were a lot of kids in the theater, and I don't have a problem when children are laughing and saying something to their parents about something that happens in the movie because they're a kid. They're going to say, ooh and ah, and Dad, did you see that? Type thing. So I don't have a problem with that, but there was a part where these two people were kissing and the kid was like, ew, and he was like a little, 4 or 5 year old. And he was like, oh, again. And I just had to die laughing. It was just kind of funny. And then you could be right that some of the scenes were just for a 3D effect, but I can't watch 3D. I wear glasses to watch everything.
Yeah,
and so it's hard to watch a 3D
Agreed.
movie when you
Same.
wear glasses.
Yep.
Even
so
now they have
we-
some.
we-
Sorry.
Yeah, we need to wrap this up so we can tell you about all the fabulous sponsors who have made this show possible for us.
Yeah, we have to. We're gonna mention. I actually talked to Dan this week, guys, and thanks to Dan for sponsoring the media section. Dan is going to be working with us on something, and I'm going to be doing it on the podcast. We just haven't figured out what yet, and I can't say it. I don't want to spoil it, but he will
Dan
be
is
writing
the
stuff.
Dan is the one who is Tectonic Art Studios. He does the laser etched MDF terrain and stuff.
Yeah. Him and I have been talking about some stuff, and we are going to be doing a podcast with his stuff, so you'll just have to wait and see. But before we do that, for anything else, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Give me a number between 1 and 7, Jackie.
7.
Xander, you're going to be the proud owner of a miniature painted by me. You'll get my heretic from me. Xander, make sure you send
I'm
me.
so happy for him.
Xander, send me your address and
I'll be
everything in
translating.
Facebook, and I will send that miniature to you when I'm finished with it. Being that people are listening and watching, we probably should have done that before the media section. But Xander, make sure you send me your address again on Facebook, and I will get that to you as soon as possible when I'm done painting it. What else? Of course, thanks for Reckonet Games. Stay tuned. Watch our Facebook page. We got a few things coming up in the works. If you are part of our Patreon account and you subscribe to the $5 level, I just posted Kathy's part 2 of her painting Red Flame, Blue Flames, and Lava part 2. And with that, we'll also have, if you want, make sure to watch us on Facebook's page, because this week, the group from Dawn of Harbinger, which is our Star Wars thing, will be doing their first solo mission. Yeah. and we'll see how they do.
They don't die.
And hopefully they don't die this weekend or this week. And then we'll be taking our break from there. What else? I'm sure we'll have minis and movies coming up. I will be doing a review. Actually, Jackie and I will be doing a review of the Dark Souls board game. We'll get her in there.
Fun.
John says Sewer Bear should return early next week, so get ready for that. We have a lot of stuff for you, guy. If there's anything that y'all want to hear, let us know. Or if y'all think we're giving you too much, we can take it away. Which I doubt you would. Other than that, I think that's another one for the books, guys. What do you think?
Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been fun.
Yeah, guys, thanks a lot. And like I said, if you...
And thank you, Jackie, for co-hosting when John couldn't make it.
Yeah. Jackie's a
you're
good
welcome.
sport.
I literally do nothing, so it's great. I was going to watch because I was excited for the Black Panther review, so I already had laptop open and everything for it ready to go, so it worked out great.
Right on.
Yeah. Jackie is always awesome for filling in. I'm glad we kind of talked her into doing this. She's kind of like our side person who's like, yeah, I'll do it. I got nothing else to do. You're drinking and talking about board games? Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I did get my ice house.
I did hear you open that.
Yay!
I was trying to be so covert.
I did hear you open it up, which I thought was funny.
That's awesome.
So other than that, guys, we appreciate it. Remember, if you don't subscribe to the Patreon level of $20, I can't sing my country song.
Oh,
And then
you got to make him sing the country song.
no, you don't.
You do.
There's
You
a
do.
song called "I Drive Your Truck." Very country. I have to put that on the list.
So other than that, guys, that's another wrap. We will see you again next Sunday, where John will be singing for you. And hopefully we'll have some good information we can show and talk about besides our normal ramble. And I'll do some more painting. So for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Jackie.
Night, guys.
Good night. Now is when we talk over the music at the end.
What? We don't ever talk over it. Never. You know, I didn't get drunk enough. That's the reason why my painting didn't do so good today.
You know what? When I drink the gin and tonic, I get a little tipsy, I have to say.
Did you get tipsy tonight?
I kind of did.
Kinda. We gotta fix that problem and get you really
I kind of
tipsy.
did. I might be stumbling to the couch after this.
Yeah, I made the mistake of asking for one ice house. I should have asked for the usual 6.
Usual
but one will
6.
do.
Yeah, but while we were all talking about all this fun stuff, I was arranging with another of my gaming friends for a brunch tomorrow. So we'll be talking about games tomorrow morning at the Golden Corral.
Oh, perfect.